Another issue of Lazarus Planet. This time around it's called Next Evolution, with the cover having Red Canary, Flatline, Red Hood, and another new character named Deadeye. This series has been so far just a lot of one-shots, filled with multiple stories. Which, while I like, there's no real main event occurring. Instead, everything is just very disjointed with the stories taking place at all different times. But there's definitely certain things from these whole stories that I hope stick around long term, like Mercy Graves' new powers, or the characters we get powers for this issue. This issue starts off with Red Hood's story. He's jumping out of a burning building onto a boat as he complains about how he never really thinks secondly. We're then told how he got here. He's been tracking down a canister filled with Lazarus. It's from Lexcorp, so it's not good. It's being smuggled into Gotham. He finds the criminals who have it and he beats the crap out of them, only to find out they have backup and the fight ends up getting led into a warehouse. This warehouse has a bomb in it, so it goes up and Red Hood has to dive out a window into a boat to survive. Meanwhile, the criminals themselves have made it to the boat, so Red Hood looks around and figures out that they have all been murdered, very brutally too. And he makes a pretty good assumption that whoever killed them were metahumans, because the bodies have electrical burns on them and the walls have bullet holes in them. Meaning the criminals tried to shoot whoever did this, but they kept missing. Red Hood keeps looking around for more clues, and that's when he gets a pretty big one. The metahumans are still on board. He runs after them only for him to get, hit in the head of a crowbar like he always does. Okay, that's a pretty funny joke, I have to admit. They don't make it though, it's very subtle, because they don't actually talk about how Jason has a very big thing with crowbars, for pretty obvious reasons. But then we see it's actually three metahumans, who get on a boat to get away. They explain to Red Hood they're not on opposite sides. Both want to stop whatever the hell that Lexcorp is doing, but they both have different methods, and that's when the story ends. We go to our story about Flatline. She explains everything that happened in the Robin series, which I read, but if you didn't, all you need to know is that Flatline and Robin were now on an island with these weakest fighters, and they barely made it alive. But now she's in Tokyo when the Lazarus Planet starts. And now something odd is happening to her. She's been hearing a voice in her head, and she can't really put her finger on it, but something about it is odd. Flatline's going through some building full of booby traps where she talks about how she feels dead people, and how there was once a time where she even ate a dead body. Which, that might be a bit too far in my opinion, to have a character straight up say they're a cannibal. But okay. She then says to Damien if he knew would kill her because he's a vegetarian. Which, I mean, I don't think he needs to be a vegetarian to kill her, because she ate a person. You just gotta be anti-cannibal. Anyways, Flatline finds a temple where she hears a voice, and it's leading her inside. She finds Ubu. The two start having a fight after Flatline insults him, saying that she's a K-pop stan, so she gets devotion. They end up having some weird middle ground about how they feel like they're both disappointments to their family. Only for us to learn that some of the League of Assassins have actually become metahumans, and they attack Flatline. But that's what she sees it, what the voice had her be here for. It's an urn. She opens it and discovers she got a new power from the Lazarus Rain, and that is her connection to death is no longer a one-way trip. Instead, the ashes in the urn are now formed back in Ra's al Ghul, who welcomes her into his home, meaning she brought him back to life. Next story starts off at the Astral Plane, where we meet a new villain named Deadeye, who's playing chess where Amanda Waller meets him, where we see that he's a bit stressed over something, saying that he's under attack. Amanda Waller's actual body is on Earth 3 as they meet, while Deadeye is mid-fighting Everyman, a shapeshifter who Deadeye describes as having similar powers to that of Beast Boy. Which, I mean, I guess. Well, Deadeye himself is a telepath, and that's how they're meeting in the Astral Plane. That's when the Lazarus starts. Everyman is affected, and soon so is Deadeye, and that's when we learn it was Amanda Waller who hired Everyman to attack Deadeye. And not just that, but he's her nephew. She doesn't want Deadeye to die, but she wants to make him stronger. And this whole setup is actually just a test. Deadeye, being a very powerful telepath, managed to win the fight, and the story ends, with him seemingly wanting revenge on his aunt. And the last story is about Red Canary, who's waking up in her apartment where she finds a note from her roommate, who Red Canary clearly dislikes. But we do learn that her name is Sienna, which we did not know until now. And I am really sorry if I mispronounced it. Anyways, her roommate talks about how she doesn't like the room smelling like cheese because she's vegan. Not because it smells bad, but because, she doesn't like to be reminded of things she can't eat. I mean, I'm a vegetarian, and if something smelled like bacon, I wouldn't be upset. It smelled like bacon, I would be upset because it smells. Anyways, we're gonna see Red Canary's day, talking about her chem test she has, and also that she doesn't really know what to do and doesn't really have any friends. As she wants to be a hero, but her family wants her to be something else, like a doctor or a lawyer. And while she's on a bus to her school, she gets a pretty odd alert that from her brother, saying that apparently there are pig statues coming to life in the mall. Well, actually, they're piggy banks, but for some reason they call them pig statues at points in this book. This is all because of the Lazarus reign. So she texts Sideways to help her out since the two made a friendship in Dark Crisis. The two have a pretty fun fight with a bunch of random alive statues and piggy banks. The two talk about their families and the stress that Red Canary has over what she doesn't want to, do. And over what she does want to do. Because she doesn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer like her family wants her to be. But she just wants to play guitar and have fun and be a superhero. And when it comes down to her education, it doesn't really matter to her. Because she's already graduated high school and now she's just in college. Or university, doesn't really say. But Sideways tells her to just do what she wants or do what Black Canary would do. And the issue ends with Red Canary seeing a photo of Black Canary thinking that maybe this is a sign to her. Maybe it's time for her to finally do what she wants to. Personally, of all these stories, my favorite is definitely Red Hood, then Red Canary, then Deadeye, then Flatline. It still does feel very disjointed to me because you have to practically get out a pinboard and put all these stories out to figure out where which one goes and how to figure out what's going on. As there's not really a main objective. Yes, there is a Lazarus reign, but that's really it. There's no real villain, there's no real stakes, there's no real really anything. It's just a bunch of fun stories, which I like, but for an event, it's a little, in my opinion, kind of awkward at times reading it. Because you're being told things that you should know already that you might not, or you are be told things that you shouldn't know. It just doesn't really work because everything keeps on making no sense. It felt like we were meant to know what was going on with Deadeye, which we didn't because this is his first appearance. Also, the Flatline cannibal line kind of makes it a little hard to make her, sympathetic anymore. Because she's meant to be a up-and-coming hero, or anti-hero. And by having her stated to at once aid a person, probably isn't exactly, in my opinion, the best idea. However, on a more positive note, I thought the Red Canary story was really good in how it handled the whole idea of growing up. And in my opinion, it's a nice introduction to who Red Canary is, because while we know who Red Canary is because she was on Dark Crisis, we don't really see what she does outside of her being a superhero. And the fights in the Red Hood story I thought were also really cool. All of these stories were really fun, it's just very disjointed. And that's it, like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!